Imagine spending hundreds of dollars on an oil change over the life of your Kia, only to unknowingly shorten the engine's lifespan every single time. It sounds unbelievable, but a few small mistakes made right after an oil change can quietly add up over thousands of miles. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly what to check before a routine oil change quietly turns into an engine replacement. Number 1. The dry start nobody talks about. A Reddit user once posted about a 2024 K5 that rolled into a shop with just 45,000 miles on it, and the tech couldn't even pour new oil in without scraping sludge out of the valve cover first. That's not normal wear. That's what happens when small habits get ignored for too long. And it usually starts with this very first habit. Picture this. You've just finished the oil change. Everything's back together, so you start the engine and give it a couple of quick revs, thinking it'll help get the fresh oil circulating faster. But here's the problem. For the first few seconds after a cold start, oil pressure hasn't built up yet. The pump needs time to push fresh oil through the filter and up into the cam journals and bearings. On Kia's Theta and SmartStream engines, that window can stretch close to 5 seconds before pressure stabilizes. And in that window, metal is essentially touching metal, with almost no protective film between moving parts. Now, do that once, and it's not the end of the world. The engine survives a single dry start just fine. But do it every single oil change for the entire life of the car, and that's dozens of dry starts stacked on top of each other. Each one chips away a tiny bit more at the bearings, the cam lobes, and the timing chain. None of it shows up immediately. It shows up years later. The fix doesn't cost anything either, which is honestly the best part. After every oil change, start the engine and just let it idle for 30 seconds. No throttle, no revving, nothing. Then ease into gear and keep things under 2,000 revolutions per minute for the first minute or so of driving. That's the whole routine, and it protects more of the engine than most owners ever realize. But here's where it gets interesting. Because even after oil pressure flows the way it should, there's still one more thing waiting to undo all of that good work. Number 2, the overfill mistake that hides in plain sight. More oil does not mean more protection. It can mean the exact opposite. Quick gut check. When you topped off your oil last time, did you stop right at the mark or just eyeball it? One owner posted on a Kia forum about an Optima 2.4 that went in for a routine oil change at a dealership. The paperwork said 6 quarts went in. Every previous visit at the same dealer had used 5. About 2 weeks and 2,000 miles later, the owner started hearing noisy lifters on cold start, something that had never happened before. The dipstick was sitting roughly a 1/4 inch above the full mark. When a Kia engine gets even a 1/4 quart over the fill line, the spinning crankshaft starts whipping that extra oil into foam. And foam isn't oil anymore. Air compresses, oil doesn't. Once that foam reaches the bearings and the timing chain tensioner, it can't hold pressure the way it's supposed to. The hydraulic lifters start ticking, and the variable valve timing can hesitate too. It just feels like a slightly noisier engine that never quite goes away. The fix is patience. After topping off, let the engine run for 30 seconds, then shut it off and wait a full 3 minutes before checking the dipstick. That cool down lets the oil drain back into the pan instead of clinging to the upper engine, which is what gives a false high reading. Pull the stick, wipe it clean, reinsert fully, then pull it again and trust that second look. If it's sitting above the top mark, drain a little out. This habit catches a mistake plenty of quick lube shops and dealers make without realizing it, simply by topping off by feel instead of by the mark. Number 3, the washer and the oil filter gasket. Now here's where things get sneaky, because this next issue won't show up on the dipstick at all. It hides somewhere else entirely. When was the last time you actually crouched down and looked under your own car after a service? Most people never do. Every Kia drain plug seals with a small crush washer, and that washer is only designed to be used once. Reuse it and it might seal just fine while it's cold, but once the pan heats up and expands during normal driving, it can start to seep, not drip, seep. You won't see a puddle in the driveway. You'll just lose oil slowly without the dash ever saying a word. One owner described almost the opposite version of this same problem in a Reddit post. A drain plug that had only been left snug, not properly torqued, after a routine service. Within a few hundred miles, vibration had worked it loose enough that oil was visibly pooling underneath the car. The owner caught it just in time, but plenty of people wouldn't have looked underneath at all. The same logic applies to the oil filter gasket. It needs a light coat of fresh oil before it goes on, and should be tightened by hand, never cranked down with a wrench. A dry or over-tightened gasket is one of the fastest paths to losing oil pressure. So here's the simple version. Replace the washer every time, oil the gasket every time, and while the engine's still warm, take 60 seconds with a flashlight to check both spots for wetness. Cheap insurance that catches problems while they're still cheap to fix. Number 4, the part nobody checks until it's too late. Now this next one is probably the most underrated part of the entire engine, and it's smaller than your thumb. Could you point to it under your hood right now if someone asked? Don't worry, almost nobody can. The PCV valve. Its whole job is managing crankcase pressure, and on quite a few Kia engines, especially the Theta and SmartStream GDI variants, it tends to get overlooked completely during routine service. When it clogs or sticks, pressure builds up where it shouldn't, and that trapped pressure can start pulling oil mist straight into the intake instead of draining back where it belongs. A Reddit thread told almost this exact story. One owner described oil consumption that kept creeping up, somewhere around a quart every couple thousand miles, with no leaks underneath the car and nothing visibly wrong on the surface. After swapping in a new PCV valve, the consumption dropped almost immediately. No major repair, no teardown, just a $10 part that had quietly been letting oil disappear into the intake the whole time. It's worth checking this valve at every other oil change, maybe every one if the engine's a turbo. Pull it, give it a shake, listen for a clean rattle. If it sounds gummed up or stays silent, swap it. It's cheap and quick and rules out one common cause before assuming the worst. Worth knowing, on some of these engines, a sticky valve isn't the only thing driving up consumption. So if a new PCV doesn't fix it, bring that to Kia rather than just topping off and hoping. Quick pause here. If this is actually helping you take better care of your Kia, do one thing for right now. Hit that subscribe button. There's more coming on what these engines really need, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's next. Number 5, the reset step that gets rushed. All right, so the oil's in, the filter's sealed, the PCV's been checked. Most people would call the job done right here. But what if the car itself doesn't actually know the job's done yet? Skipping this next step causes a problem that doesn't show up for weeks. Newer Kias don't just track oil life by mileage alone. The onboard computer factors in things like trip length, idle time, and driving style to estimate how much life is actually left in the oil. If that system never gets reset properly after a change, it keeps calculating off old data. That mismatch doesn't just mean an annoying light staying on, it can mean the next reminder comes either way too early or way too late. The reset itself usually only takes a few seconds. Start the engine, navigate to the service interval screen using the steering wheel buttons, and press and hold the OK or confirm button for a few seconds until it asks you to confirm. The mistake a lot of people make is backing out before that confirmation actually registers, or resetting it before the oil's even been changed, which leaves the computer working off the wrong baseline either way. So once that reset's confirmed, there's still one more job left before calling it done, and it happens the moment the hood goes back down. Number 6, the 60 seconds nobody spends. This last check takes less time than it took to read that last sentence, and it's the one almost everyone skips entirely. Why does it get skipped so often? Probably because by this point, the job already feels finished. With the reset confirmed and the engine already running, let it idle for about 60 seconds before driving off. While it's running, get down with a flashlight and check the drain plug and filter housing for wetness. A quarter turn fixes most of it. Shut the engine off and listen carefully. A slight ticking noise may fade as oil finishes circulating, but a deep knock shouldn't be ignored and should be checked immediately. A quick 1-minute inspection after an oil change can catch problems before they turn into expensive engine damage. So once everything's confirmed dry, quiet, and sealed, there's really only one piece of the puzzle left, and it has nothing to do with the engine bay at all. Number 7, matching the right oil to the right engine. At this point, the level's right, the seals are tight, the PCV's checked, and the reset's confirmed. Does it actually matter which bottle of oil goes in, as long as the viscosity matches? Turns out, yes, more than most people assume. The manual usually calls for something specific depending on the engine, often 5W20 or 5W30 for naturally aspirated 4 cylinders. That's a real phenomenon on turbocharged direct injection engines, where the wrong oil chemistry can let fuel ignite at the wrong moment under load, stressing piston rings and bearings in a way that doesn't follow the normal wear pattern. One owner forum thread even argued about exactly this, an engine that kept losing oil between changes, where one commenter pointed out the car's filter wasn't matched to Kia's spec at all, and that alone was enough to throw off lubrication. The lesson isn't to chase the cheapest bottle or the most expensive one. Check what's printed on the oil cap and match the certification, not just the viscosity number. A bottle that says APISN or SP with the right viscosity is doing a completely different job than a generic conventional oil sharing the same weight on the label. And once the right oil's in there, there's still the question of how often it should come back out again. Number 8, the interval debate that actually matters. This is where a lot of owners get stuck, and honestly, where a lot of arguments online come from too, because the answer genuinely isn't the same for everyone. So which number should you actually trust? The one on the sticker or the one your buddy swears by? Kia's maintenance schedule typically recommends oil changes every 7,500 miles under normal driving conditions. But most owners' manuals also include a severe driving schedule that reduces the interval to around 3,000 to 3,750 miles, and many drivers fall into that category without realizing it. Severe driving includes frequent short trips, stop-and-go traffic, extended idling, towing, and driving in extreme temperatures. For many daily commuters, those conditions are more common than they seem. Because turbocharged GDI engines run hotter and produce more contaminants than older fuel-injected engines, many experienced technicians recommend changing the oil every 5,000 miles as a practical middle ground, even when using full synthetic oil. It's not about distrusting the manual or assuming Kia got it wrong. It's about recognizing the normal schedule assumes ideal conditions that most daily driving doesn't match. So the real move is checking which category actually fits your driving, not picking whichever number is easiest to remember. Number 9, why 1 quart might not be a warning sign and when it is. Some oil consumption between changes is actually considered normal, even by Kia's own service literature, especially in certain GDI engines. So how worried should you actually be if you're topping off oil between changes? Knowing exactly where that line sits between normal and an actual problem matters more than people think. One owner posted about a 2016 Sorento, bought used at 92,000 miles, already burning close to a quart every 1,000 miles. After reading online that this was normal for a Kia, the owner just kept topping it off. By 109,000 miles, the engine burned a valve. A full bottom end rebuild followed, new rings, new rod bearings. Oil consumption afterward didn't improve at all. It was still burning roughly a quart every 600 to 700 miles. A second valve burned at 118,000. But losing a quart every few hundred miles, especially paired with blue smoke on startup or a faint burning smell, that's an entirely different story, and one worth acting on quickly. So how do you actually tell the difference? Check the level every month, not just whenever an oil change happens to fall due, and write the reading down somewhere you'll actually look at again. That number becomes the baseline that reveals whether consumption is creeping upward or staying steady. It sounds almost too simple to matter, but most engine problems get caught months earlier when there's an actual record sitting there, instead of just a vague feeling that something seems off. And speaking of records, there's one more habit that ties this entire routine together. Number 10, the log nobody keeps. and why it matters more than people think. This last one takes maybe 30 seconds, and it's genuinely the one almost nobody actually does, even people who otherwise take great care of their cars. Quick one, do you actually remember what oil and filter went into your Kia last time? Most people couldn't say for sure. After each oil change, jot down the date, the mileage, the oil brand and viscosity, and the filter that was used. A notebook works fine. A note on your phone works just as well. The reason this matters goes well beyond just remembering when the next change is technically due. If a Kia ever needs warranty work tied to engine wear or an oil-related failure, a documented maintenance history is often the difference between a quick approval and a long, drawn-out dispute. It's a small habit, it costs nothing, and it ends up protecting an engine worth thousands. At the end of the day, keeping your Kia reliable isn't about buying the most expensive oil or choosing the fanciest repair shop. It's about following the right maintenance habits consistently. Before you go, drop a comment below with your Kia's model, year, and current mileage, and the kind of driving you actually put it through day to day. Also, watch the next video to learn the secret Kia reset fixes that can fix several common problems without spending a dime. If you enjoyed this video, then do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.